Hey, welcome to Blue Jay Banner, sponsored by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally on our YouTube channel. Wow, that's the first time in like 2 years. I almost said on 1620 The Zone. It's been a while since it's been on there.
It has been.
Uh, welcome. We took the holiday weekend off. I hope you enjoyed it. Feature called or the
About it, as I'm sure. So I'm always curious how that operates, but yeah, it's disappointing. I mean, from a pure basketball standpoint, I think it's beyond silly. Um, Now, if you want to go down the path of University of Arizona is kind of an elite school, elite weather, um, everything else probably that comes with going to the University of Arizona basketball. It's there are worse places to transfer to. Although I'm saying all of this, he hasn't even officially announced that, has he?
well, he came out. Yeah, see, that's the whole deal. Like, I know people were
I'll,
piling on him unnecessarily, but he really botched this whole thing. Like, he was entered in the portal days before he even did his Instagram thing yesterday. I mean, you normally go in the portal, or the day you go in the portal, you put out an announcement. Like, he was botching the announcement. Was kind of like, I don't know. It just didn't sit well with me. And I'm not just blaming Ryan here. Obviously people were piling on him on Instagram. I don't follow Instagram, but apparently people were piling on because Mac had to come out and say, "Hey, look, the transfer portal has been very good to Creighton. In turn, we have to respect people who go in the transfer portal from our school and want to do things different and wish them the best. And let's not, pile on." So apparently it's gotten back to Mac that, but I got to say this. This feels different to me. Like, and not just Ryan, like LJ Cryer, like that makes no sense for him to go to Baylor to Houston. Like, unless he's got some problem with the coach, like, you're going from an elite program in the same conference to another. That makes no sense to me. Like, that's gotta be NIL. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, a
Kirk,
lot of it's
Kirk
NIL.
Kriisa
Absolutely.
leaving Arizona to go to West Virginia of all places. Like, that
Yeah.
makes no sense.
My
Absolutely none.
understanding with that one was that he and Tommy Lloyd were bumping heads quite a bit.
Okay, I get it then. Totally get it. Okay.
Right.
From what I've been told by Arizona guys is that they're totally going to revamp. That's why the Nemhard thing went into there, was they're going to go totally small next year. They're going to play three guards, which they really haven't done because they went with the big lineup and they feel like that didn't get them anywhere. So they're going to go smaller and have Nemhard and that stud point guard they already have there, that freshman, in the lineup at the same time. Now, you mentioned Arizona, but there's other rumors out there he might not go to Arizona. There's other rumors floating around now. So it's
Yeah.
just, and then the uh announcement yesterday by Jeff Goodman that he's talked to a couple coaches who have both said good friends of theirs in the coaching profession of these coaches he talked to have gone behind their back.
Yeah.
And
Tapered down from this. How that looks with specific rules or legislation or what have you, I don't know, but it's just kind of a perfect storm of all of these things right now. And the NIL stuff, it sounds like there is a lot of tampering, behind the backs of coaching staffs, and basically. And another thing too is parents right now. Parents of these Gen Z kids are more involved than they've ever been in the recruiting process,
right.
and
Mm.
they're all over social media, and they have relationships with a lot of different people, so they're probably efforting things in the background, maybe during the year. It's just kind of chaos. It's disappointing. But at the same time, everyone's sort of like quasi, I don't know, benefiting. I don't know, because not everybody's benefiting, obviously, but
Right.
like we lose Ryan Nemhard, which stinks. He's been a tremendous player, and I thought had the ability to be one of the best point guards in the country next year for us. And having said that, though, Tim, I still think we have an opportunity to go out into the portal
No,
and
totally
get
agree.
somebody just as good.
Totally agree. Totally agree. And let's bring in somebody who knows a lot about it. Award-winning Joel Lorenzi. Congrats, buddy.
I appreciate it. What's going on, guys?
As a member of the United States Basketball Writers, I was like, whoa, they didn't ask me to vote on this.
Like, I had no connection to Nebraska, the state, the either program here, the scene here. I was fresh on the scene, didn't know anybody. Hit the ground running with, building sources and just building rapport with everybody around. And so it's hard to understand Creighton and how much this stuff means to the people here until you're really,
Yeah.
fully 2 feet in this thing. And as I'm writing throughout the year, as you guys know from probably reading my work, I'm probably more critical than other journalists, and I'm not afraid to share my thoughts and keep it real. And everybody wasn't with that, and so it was hard to as I'm writing, especially like through that 6-game losing streak and the ups and downs of the season. You don't know who's actually reading, how many people are reading it, or if anybody cares as much as you do. So when I got the call, it was like what the hell? Because I mean, like that award is for people 30 and under. So you got to think. I mean, I'm 23. They could have given that to anybody between fresh out of college like I was to up to 30 years old. And I'm sure there were plenty of deserving journalists. I mean, this business is stacked, man. And so for people to be watching me from Omaha and to be watching me document what ended up being a historical season. It was crazy to even because that happened before they even went on the Elite Eight run. So it was all for it to all happen that way.
So you knew this before that. So you already got plans to go to Houston. So obviously somebody had to nominate you, right? Like, I mean, I'm sure that's how the process goes. Somebody throws a name in and says, hey, look out for this guy. He seems really on top of it. Here's a good candidate, whatever. I would guess.
I suppose. I didn't know if I was on the ballot or not. I just got the call when I won it. So I don't know who I was up against or what the stakes were or anything like that. But I don't know. I've shaken a few good hands. So I guess some people have known me for however long, and maybe other people got hip to me this year. I don't know. Whatever it was,
Well, whatever. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Congrats. You got the award. Congratulations. It's awesome. What a great thing to have on your resume.
Something like that.
All right. Yeah, and by the way, we appreciate. I don't read every word you write. Okay, I'm going to be honest, but what I've read, I appreciate you being honest. Like, 60 miles west, we got tons of beat writers for those guys that just kiss butt nonstop, 365, 24 hours a day, and it just gets sickening after a while. Like, can't you give an honest opinion? I mean, like. It's nice to have a fresh voice and an honest opinion. So let's get into some of this crazy Creighton talk here. I guess Ryan Nembhard kind of threw everybody for a wrench. Like, he was the one guy everybody thought, oh, okay, he's going to be back. We don't know about the other guys. What did you think about all this?
Yeah, I'd found out the news earlier in the week, and you said it yourself. I mean, that was the one guy. I mean, from talking to people, whether that was in season, weeks, leading up to the end, or the week after the season ended, that was the one guy that I always felt like if anybody was to leave, like this is the one true lock. And don't get me wrong, I posed the idea on a few shows, like teams will come after him. Like I always thought it would be like a Gonzaga or a Duke. And I'm not ruling Gonzaga out here. I know a lot of people. I've heard this the favorite destination is probably Arizona, but I don't think Gonzaga would be far behind. It makes sense, right? And so I always knew like those type of programs were going to try to make a jump at him, but I didn't think it would actually happen. To see, I mean, I think most of it, and part of why so many fans are mad, is that he was in prime position to do even greater things that he did this year. I mean, this dude was a 2-year starter, played the most minutes on the team that went to Elite Eight. Nobody was gunning for his spot next year. I think Ross said it when I came in. He was going to be one of the best point guards in the country next year. He was one of the best point guards in the country this year. He was going to probably be even better next year. And so I mean, but I also can't blame him. Like, I mean, to everybody. There's always a better job or a better car, a better house, a better partner, whatever that may be. There's always a better something out there to somebody. So, and obviously people are gonna lob, money into it, whatever the case may be.
Sure.
Some of that behind the scenes stuff, but I can't say I blame him, but it was definitely a shock for sure.
Yeah. The thing that kind of like rubs me the wrong way is when he came in, this is before you were here. When he came in, okay, when that freshman class came in, he said, "All right, we're going to the Final Four and we're going to win national championship." I mean, everybody's like, "Whoa," you know. And he was like the one guy I think we thought could keep the core group together. You know what I mean? And then like he just bolts all of a sudden. And you hear all kinds of rumors, and I think we can agree he probably didn't. He probably handled it unusually, to be fair, from other guys that go like normally they announce they're going in the portal when they go in the portal. He went in the portal and then later on made an announcement after the whole world knew. It was the whole thing seemed a little clunky to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of that is, I mean, I think that's the way it probably should go traditionally. I mean, his announcement only came when it did. I think his announcement was always meant to, come when it did. It's just Goodman happened to get on it and put it out there for the world, and so he couldn't really get out in front of himself. But I think the timing was always like, even like, the portal stuff takes a few days for your name to actually get in there. So I think the timing made sense the way it unfolded. It's just Goodman kind of maybe screwed up the timeline a bit, but yeah, I get the frustration from fans, and but as far as the core group, like retaining the core group, I think these guys are just there's so much individuality between this group. Like these guys, I don't think they're looking around and seeing like who's gonna stay, but I think a few of them are convinced like I'm staying regardless. I think it opens up an opportunity to not to quote some of those guys, in Lincoln, not rebuild but retool, right? Like, I get the sense that Trey Alexander can still stay, Kalkbrenner can return, Bader Shireman can probably return for his last season, so that's still a good chunk of the core. Like I've been
Right.
saying, the
Wow.
feeling. The feeling is that Kaluma is probably not going to return, but I mean I think from the way they've jumped on Nemhar's absence and targeted a few of those names, some of them that could either fill what he did or even improve in some areas what he did. I think they'll be fine still. So I'm not sure. While it's probably something Trey Alexander's thinking about, it might play into his decision. I'm not sure Nemhar's departure is something that
Okay.
weigh on those
Fair.
guys
Fair
much.
enough.
I mean, I think they just know what this thing is.
So Joel, what did you think? Outside all this transfer portal stuff that gets fan bases in a frenzy right after this, immediately after the season. What did you think about the run that the Jays went on? And then even looking, I was telling somebody recently, I think maybe a coworker we were chatting, and it simultaneously feels like just this unbelievable banner year for Creighton because it is, right? Like had never made it that far, but also it's almost like so disappointing because you look around at the rest of the teams that were left at that point, and you felt like this is a team that should have been playing for a national title, and the ball just didn't bounce their way. So I'm kind of curious where you kind of compartmentalize both of those things and what you think of the season altogether.
Yeah, I thought. I mean, I was thinking the same. I was at the national championship, and I'm watching San Diego State, and granted, like UConn ran through everybody in that run. Like that was one of the more dominant runs I've seen in my time watching college basketball. But um,
Totally.
I think everybody who watched both teams get the sense that Creighton probably could have pushed them as far as anybody, perhaps even one, which is difficult to say now that you saw the run UConn went on. But I mean, they split the season series. These were teams. I mean, UConn ran through non-conference teams, man. Like non-conference teams didn't stand a chance against them all year. But you look at what happened in the Big East and how they fared there, and it was like those teams really got jabs in and put UConn on his ass during the year, frankly. And so you had to imagine that Creighton being that team and how they looked during their run. I mean, beating Baylor was no small feat. I know they had an uncharacteristic team prior to recent years. It's hard to pit this year's team to the championship team from a few years ago, but that Baylor team was good. It was damn good, and Creighton didn't have any sort of cupcake run to the Elite Eight where they played San Diego State, an opponent. While UConn made them look a shell of themselves, like San Diego State was a good team. So I think it was a thrill for sure. Like knowing that. I mean, this was the kind of thing, and this is what kind of confused me throughout the year was people's perception to my coverage when I would hold them to that standard, and it was like, yo, like this team. I think it was always supposed to be the Final Four. I mean, this is what we were saying before season, right? Like this was a Final Four, Elite Eight team. So for it to happen in real life was like, I couldn't say I was surprised, but it was just a crazy thrill to be right there and document it.
Yeah, it's probably if you look from the bracketologist standpoint that I am, if you look at that Final Four, you had 4 teams that are probably underseeded. Not because of what they did in the tournament, but even going back to Selection Sunday, there was no reason to have Xavier above UConn. There was just like you weren't watching the games if you thought Xavier should be seated ahead of UConn. San Diego State was right there, probably seated about right, but everybody thought FAU should be more like a 6 seed than a 9, and more people thought Creighton were more like a 5 than a 6. So even though it wasn't a big jump, that does affect who you play and where everybody goes and so forth. You mentioned Arthur Kaluma. What have you heard about what he's going to do here? He's obviously going to test the NBA, right?
Yeah, and I'm not sure what like the semantics of the route and whatnot. Some guys test keep their eligibility and whatever. There's a bunch of things, technical ways that they can do it, but all I know is the sense that I've gotten since probably before the season ended was that he was gonna leave Omaha, and I think for a guy that was projected lottery before the season unfolded, I think he's a guy that wants to at least taste the NBA and see how far he can get this summer with the Waters. I actually haven't I haven't been told as often like I think for sure he put his name out there for evaluation, but I'm not sure if he'll actually test the waters. I mean, that would be my guess. That's the sense I've gotten, but I haven't actually explicitly been told that.
Right.
But I gotta imagine he will test the waters. I think it would be it would save him some time if he just probably hit the portal. But for what I know, the sense I've gotten is that he's not gonna be part of Creighton anymore.
You watch I don't watch much NBA. You watch a ton of NBA. So to me, I look, oftentimes I'm like, I don't watch NBA and I watch college and then I'm like, wow, that dude made it and this dude didn't. It didn't, but I guess that's like any sport. But it just seems to me like he's got some things that he really needs to work on, like his ball handling. He doesn't, in the NBA, he's going to have to handle the ball quite a bit, I would think.
There are roles for him where he wouldn't have to handle the ball as much. But I think part of the projections for him before the season were like based on some of that ball handling, like some of the pop he offered as a 6'7", like combo forward, like
right.
At Afro basket, like putting the ball on the floor, getting to a bucket himself. And I think that's some of the stuff he tried to do early on and maybe struggled with this season. And so yeah, you're right. There's work for him to do it, but I think most of his stock, throughout the year, and even though it dropped, was based on potential. It wasn't based on what you really saw now.
And that's where the NBA is. Yeah. You spoke about Baylor Schreierman. It kind of looked like he was gone. That was just my sense, okay? But now, lately, this last 2-3 weeks, it seems like there's momentum that he could come back. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think the momentum started before their senior day. When he made it clear, like, okay, I'm gonna do the ceremony, but like don't get it twisted. Like I could come back. Like when he made that clear, it was like, okay, like
right,
there's something going on there. But you're right. I think the sense in the beginning of the year was like this dude, he's older. He's played enough. He's here in mock drafts, wherever, even though it's late draft, like this dude should be gone. And it felt like, his last season, he finally plays in Omaha. Like, this is how you go out with a bang. And then I think mid-year, I can't point to an exact reason or what it was, but I'm sure, through some of the rough stints he had with the shot making and whatnot, like I'm sure he was like, okay, like I haven't really raised my stock. Like it's probably either level or maybe drop depending on who you talk to. I know some people are like really want him as like a diamond in the rough, but like, his stock didn't really soar like he probably imagined it would. And so I gotta imagine that played into it. And he's like, okay, maybe I can do another year here. There was an adjustment this year from going to a guy that was constantly on the ball, and that's how he was getting to his shots. And then he comes to Omaha, and a lot of it is spot up, and he has a green light, but it's from like 5 feet beyond the 3-point line. Like he changed his shot selection, and so I gotta imagine, with another year, he felt he could be more comfortable for that leap. And at the same time, like I don't know, like just thinking about the way the team is constructed and the opportunity he might have, it's hard to and the role he would play at the next level is like we talk about age, but he's going to be a contribute now guy regardless. That's not changing from now to next year. And so I think that probably plays a factor. So that's why I get the sense that he could come back, and that's some of the chatter going on right now.
Right. I always thought Trey was a guy who had tremendous upside. And do you think, if he comes back and now that Nemhard left, that Trey would at least, and obviously it's a coach's decision, but want to get a lot more run at point guard?
I think it depends on who they grab. I think they're trying to grab a guy that can
Sure.
play alongside him and kind of have the same dynamic that he had with Nemhard. Not make maybe have lineups where Trey could run the offense, but still be able to be comfortable in what he does. Some of that spot up he showed off this year. Some of the one dribble pull up or stuff like that. Second side pick and roll stuff like that. Not making him the PG1, but like having him be the de facto point guard sometimes. And I think, you look at the targets like Steven Ashworth and like some of those guys are legit playmakers that can also, shoot the ball. Specifically Ashworth. I mean, his shooting numbers are, I think that's probably their number one target. I think next to Trey, he would be nuts. They would be nuts. And it just makes all the sense in the world.
I mean, Ashworth, if you watch, and I watched a ton of Mountain West, and I mean, because they had to put so much attention on him because he's a 45, 46 point percent 3-point shooter. And that's not a joke stat. That dude can fill it up. And you could not give him an
I think my thing, Tim, not to interrupt you there, but
no, go ahead.
With guys in the portal, what's going to be interesting is I don't think that there are many point guards that can control the game near as well and efficiently as Ryan Nemhard can. I mean, Ryan can really, really handle the basketball. I mean, sure he turned it over from time to time, just just by nature of our fast pace, and we want to get up and down the floor and kind of take some chances and throw some passes. But he really controlled the pace of the game, and I'm concerned that it's going to be hard finding another point guard that quite fits his mold. I've watched the Tyler Perry kid a little bit from North Texas. Really good player, can really fill it up. Obviously, he's played on the complete and utter opposite end of the spectrum as far as playing style to what we do. So that'd be an interesting fit if we ended up really getting involved with him. But some of these guys are obviously very good players. It's just it's going to be a very huge shift from what Ryan's given us.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's where the revisionist history I think is gonna probably bother me some. Like people gotta, based on the pool we got now, and probably the pool is gonna finish as, I don't know who is left to jump in the portal, if there are still names to be thrown in there, but Nemhard is probably the best point guard in the portal. He's one of the best players in the portal. And like you said,
I agree.
Beyond beyond, controlling the game. It's his pace, man. You are going to be hard pressed to find that. And I think Ashworth is up there in terms of guards that they can use as replacements because, like Tim said, he changed the way teams defend. I think where Nemhard lacked, consistent shooting, Ashworth gives you that tenfold. That athleticism is probably not on par with Nemhard because I think Nemhard obviously showed flashes of being a pretty good athlete. But I don't know, man. Ashworth feels like one of those bets in terms of guys that can come in, and whoever comes in, you probably won't even have to give them the keys because Trey, I imagine they want to give Trey the keys, but the role is there for them to just jump in and do it, man. And I think you got guys. Terran Armstrong is another target, even though I think the fit is way different because he's
kid from Cal Baptist.
Yeah, he's a non-shooter, but probably the best passer in the country. So you get a different wrinkle there. And I think Javion McCullum from Siena is another guy that you could just give the keys. Probably not as mature as, I don't know, Ashworth, but another guy who I think you miss on Ashworth. Javion McCullum is there because he made that leap this past year. And then Rhodey is another target, but I don't think that's your PG1. That's probably a guy you bring in with one of the other guys. So I mean, they have the avenues. I think I'll be more concerned for them in terms of who's left to replace Kaluma instead of who's left to replace Nemhard, honestly, if Kaluma ends up leaving.
Well, I mean, that's why they got Trout, right? I mean,
I don't think. I mean, Trout hasn't played a game, so
come on, Joel. He was a top 60 guy. I hear this all the time, and I'm a little defensive about that because that was a big loss for Creighton. Creighton wanted him bad.
Sure.
And this dude's a top 60 recruit, and I knew when he went to Virginia, I go, that is a horrible fit for you. You're not going to do what you want to do. And immediately when he announced he's redshirt, and I said, he's coming back. He's not going to stay at Virginia very long.
But just because he was a top 60 guy does not guarantee.
Well, you didn't forget how to play basketball. I mean,
I understand that, but I think we got to be careful of just saying, oh, Trout.
I don't think he's going to be an All-American. I didn't say that, but but Arthur Kaluma is not an All-American either. So Arthur Kaluma brings you a lot of athleticism, no doubt about it. He was very good rebounding the basketball when he wanted to. Okay, and I think we have to wait and see on Trout. Absolutely, no question.
Don't get me wrong, Trout's a talent, but Mason Miller was also a talent. He was top 80, and he wasn't ready last year. And I'm not saying that's going to be Trout, right? But I will say, like, as we're watching whoever fill out that power forward spot, we're probably going to be looking at this. Probably got some juice everywhere, but mostly I would say West Coast. Jalen Courtney Williams is a guy who got ties in the South, and now they got a guy who's big in the Northeast over there, and so it's a big hire for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Joel, congratulations again.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for staying a few extra minutes. Appreciate it. We could talk probably for 2 more hours, everything going on, but it's crazy. Yeah. We'll be reading your stuff. Read all the stuff, Joel in the Omaha World Herald. Catch him while you can. He's going to be a rising star here. Or he already is, I guess. Thanks, man.
Thanks, guys.
Joel Lorenzi of the Omaha World Herald. Ross, I want to touch back to a point you made it here in a second. First, I want to thank our wonderful sponsors. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. They're the Bank of Blue Jay Banner. Doug Nodgard, president, 2 great locations over on 204th and Elkhorn and right north of TD Ameritrade headquarters in Old Mills section of Omaha. Then you got West Pacific Dental Group and Dr. Robert Hogan, big Jays fan. They'll take care of all your dental needs. Go and see them. And then Infusion Brewery. Check out all the great beers they're pumping out over there. Just a great partner of Blue Jay Banner, and can't wait to do some more stuff with them as the season rolls along here. I want to get back, Ross. I've been saying this to people, okay, and I know it's sounding like just like Joel was saying, there's going to be revisionist history. There's going to be games where everybody's like, wow, this guy's great, and the next game, like, God, where is Ryan Nemhard? Why, I understand he plays with I get all that. I get how fast it was, but it wasn't like we were just running down the floor, beating everybody down the floor and throw the ball up and getting a dunk. Okay. It wasn't that way. Teams adjusted to us. Get back. Okay.
Well, no, but But we
I
played at a pretty
understand he
good
pushes with
pace.
pace. Okay, I understand. Okay, I get that.
Okay.
But I mean, this team, if this team wants to go somewhere and be way more consistent, okay, they've got to stop the 3 for 19 and 4 for 20 and those nights. Those nights, I just feel those nights happen too frequently for this team. Okay. Now, whether that's we need better shooters or whether guys have to realize maybe they can't just jack up threes all the time and they got to get other shots, whatever it is. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, as a point, if we bring in a point guard, I want a guy who's going to be able to hit a more consistent 3-point shot than Ryan Nembhard. Nembhard at times could be unreal, but they weren't that many. Okay, let's face it.
Yeah.
And the other area of big concern to me was defense. There was a game where he locked down Boom, but other than that, I mean, Ryan, the problem was Ryan was not 6 foot. Ryan was about 5'10". And when you got a guy like Sule Boom, they just back him down. And then you had to come with the double, or Kalk had to pay a little more attention, and then boom, the slip pass underneath, and we gave up buckets that way.
Yeah.
And just I know that everybody, the San Diego State call, but Ryan did that a lot and got away with it a lot in his career. He was a little bit handsy, like that little subtle hip check and things like that. I get that, but eventually that got called on him, right? But I just think we need a bigger point guard, and that's where the only thing, if Ashworth was 6'4", I'd be all in, but he's not. He's 6'1", a little improvement. But I mean, even the other thing with Ryan, I looked at like a guy that was as quick as him. I just felt should have got way more steals and been in passing lanes more than he was. And again, I'm not trying to bash on. I'm just pointing things out that I would have pointed out had he stayed. Okay, for a guy that doesn't look like he's that quick or athletic, Ashworth does get steals and does get passing lanes and plays pretty good, solid defense when I've watched him anyway. So, I didn't see all 30 games, but I mean,
right.
I think, there was a team, they handled San Diego State. It was a close game, but they beat them, so they're right in that ilk of teams. But anyway, there's several guys they're looking at. I like the guy out of Siena too. McCollum.
Yeah.
I think he's a guy. Player. I think he's more of I don't want to say project, but a guy that might ease into it more. I think Ashworth could probably hit the ground running, kind of. With obviously when you're coming to a new team, but look at Baylor. Baylor came to a new team. I mean, it looked like Baylor had been on this team for a while. There was a play here and a play there, like, oh, he didn't know that guy was going to be there or whatever. But I mean, for the most part, Baylor kind of like Hawk did too. Hawk kind of hit the ground running. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I couldn't agree more. Yeah. I mean, we've got an opportunity to retool. The team's going to obviously look a little bit different without Ryan running the show, but doesn't mean that we can't find somebody that really fits the bill and fits around the other guys really well. So we'll see.
I wanted to ask Joel. Joel, I know was running out of time, but I'll ask you, Russ. So 2 guys that left. So everybody's kind of talking about number one. Well, if Ryan was leaving, why wouldn't Reef stay? Number 2, everybody was talking about Ben leaving. Now, I always thought Ben was leaving. I always thought that was a done deal way back. Because you could tell when we talked to him, he wanted to play and so forth. My thought is that Reef wasn't going to take on an expanded role, and they felt that
correct
getting that, and he would be better served going to play somewhere else. And I don't think he's made a decision yet, has he?
I don't think he or Stoltzberg have made.
But he was down to the 4. I haven't seen anything on Stoltzberg, who's interested. But Reef was down to 4. I know Omaha was 1, but it was High Point still in there
for Sharif.
Yeah, I know they originally were.
No, I don't believe so. I think Sharif was his 4 were UNO, North Texas, and I can't remember the
good
2
program
others.
there.
Yeah, I mean it's
new coach too. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where Sharif lands. You would think he's kind of a perfect fit for a place like UNO, but maybe he wants to spread his wings and get out of the city. I'm not 100% sure. Ben Stoltzberg, it'll be fascinating to see where he ends up. I mean, I think there's not enough sample size. I went to one practice all year. So I don't have a really good sample size of his game, to be quite frank. I mean, I don't know what level he'd be best at.
I hear this a lot from people. Oh, well, I heard he turned up in practice. That's not what I heard. Like, look, I'm not saying he was awful. I'm just saying he had a lot of defensive, and you saw that. And granted, most of the time he got in the game, it was garbage time. Okay, that's not fair to Ben or anything else, but you have to still perform in those situations, okay, whether it's garbage time or not. And even when you saw those glimpses of him in the game, he struggled defensively. Sure, he looked good on the offensive end. He looked like he could score. But, we saw, hey, look, we saw it, that segment here. So I've got the pad, and then we'll get them on a spreadsheet, and we'll be able to pop them up in shows in the future and say, okay, here's the predictions. So we're going to make these predictions, but let's face it, all predictions aren't the same. You could predict, I'm going to make a prediction, Creighton's going to win 10 games next year. Okay, come on. Okay? When they've won 23 of the last 25 years. Okay? So we're going to kind of rank them. So when I make predictions, you guys can throw in your 2 cents like, okay, so the rankings are going to be a layup, a free throw, and a three-pointer. So you get 3 points for the three-pointer, 2 for the free throw, 1 for the layup.
And this has got to be within the upcoming year.
Right. Okay. Whenever it happens, you may make a prediction on roster, right? How the roster is going to look in a month. Well, when that happens, then that's when we judge. Did you hit it? Did you not? Whatever.
Gotcha.
And like I said, we're gonna have feedback from listeners and viewers as well. So, if you predicted, hey, I think Creighton's overall record next year after the NCAA tournament will be 28-4. Okay, well, if you hit that, damn, that's a 3-pointer. I mean, that's pretty tough, right?
Yep.
So I'm going to start with this one. We kind of discussed it a little bit with Joel, but I had it written down already. Baylor Schreierman will return to Creighton next year.
Oh, well, that's easy. Isn't that like almost a foregone conclusion?
Oh, I mean, I don't know. You guys, Zach, what do you got, buddy?
Mine are longer term.
No. What do you think of mine?
Oh, of yours?
I'll give you mine. Yeah. Is that a one? Is that a layup? Is that a free throw? Is that a 3-pointer?
I'd call that a layup. I'd call that one a layup.
I would agree. That's a layup.
You guys are tough graders. I'm not so sure on that, guys, but okay. All right. Number 2. This is Ryan Nembhard will end up at a Big East school.
That's Tim. That's buzzer beater Chris Jenkins in the national title game level prediction.
All right. Zach, you agree that's a 3?
Yeah, I would agree with that one. And also, I don't want to think about it.
I'm just saying there's a rumor out there. That's all I'm saying.
I heard. I know what rumor you're talking about as well.
So, all right. Zach, what do you got?
I think you said this could be expanded to all of Big East basketball, right?
Yes, sir.
I think Georgetown avoids the play-in next season.
See, now there's a good one. Georgetown avoids the play-in game.
But Tim, I thought you only did 2. I thought you were doing 3. Are we doing 2?
No, I'm only doing 2. We're only doing 2. Well,
okay, gotcha.
If you want to do 3, you can.
No. I that's 2's fine.
All right. Well, it's not a 3-pointer.
I say it's a free throw. I say it's a nice.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair.
I could see that going the other way.
Be a free throw on that one, Zach. What's your next one?
Ryan Kalkbrenner gets named to one of the All-American teams.
Wow.
Well, when you let's clarify. So when you say name to one of the All-American teams, are you talking first team?
No, how many?
Or are you saying
does it go to third team? Got a couple free throws.
Free throws. Free throw. Ross.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
All right, Ross. Fire away.
My first one is that especially, and I can't remember, was this confirmed today that Villanova got the kid from Washington State, Bamba?
I don't know. I didn't see it, but I'm not saying it didn't happen. I just didn't see it.
If from everything I'm hearing, I don't think it's official yet, but it sounds like it's happening. If TJ Bamba from Washington State transfers to Villanova, Villanova will win the Big East next year.
Whoa!
Yep. So I can tell by your reaction, you think that's a 3.
Sure. Yeah, for several reasons.
So that's my big one.
That's a 3-pointer, Zach, don't you think?
I'd call it a 3-pointer.
I mean, you got Marquette. UConn might not lose that many people. You got Creighton. You got Xavier. Woo,
I know. Trust me.
That one's gonna be kept on the spreadsheet till March, baby. Well, or until we know they can't. All right. You're talking regular season, right? Big East.
Regular season. Yep.
All right, gotcha.
I think my next one is I think the Big East will finish. I'm not going to say first, but top 2 in KenPom at the end of the year of best conference, most difficult conference. Because I'm looking out at that. I'm looking out at the expanse there, and I don't see a ton of weakness at all. Maybe Butler obviously is the easy one to answer, but they're bringing in some transfers, so who knows how they might look. DePaul obviously is another easy one, but they've been more competitive. Yeah, I think Providence, or excuse me, I think St. John's and Georgetown are going to really compete next year. I think it's going to be at least the second best conference in the country from a difficulty standpoint.
Well, that's not a 3-pointer. I would say it's only a free throw because the Big 12 is going to be number 1, adding Houston. And, the SEC, ACC, Big 10, So I would say a free throw, Zach. What do you think?
Yeah, free throw for sure.
All right, there we go. So we've only got one of these that's going to be that could be answered here in the next month, and that would be mine, the Baylor one. So, all right. So anyway, you can send an email to us at bluejaybanner@gmail.com if you have a prediction or two, and we'll get you on in the contest. And then we'll also garner some from bluejaybanner.com. And coming up in the episodes in the future here, we're going to kind of do a message board post of the week from bluejaybanner.com.
That ought to be good.
Zach, I'm going to have you pick those out.
I get to pick them?
Sure.
All right.
I thought you would enjoy that.
Oh, I'll
I want
enjoy
something.
it.
I want something out there, and
There's
it can't be
plenty of that,
a 3-paragraph one. We got to have something that's relatively short. But there's plenty of wild things to post on those. So there we go. Really want to thank Joel for joining us. Really appreciate it. God, it's just amazing he won that award. I mean, not that he's not
That's
worthy
impressive.
of it, just that there's so, like he said, there's so much competition that's crazy.
I agree.
And congratulations to him. And I bet you he's on people's radar now. So good for him. And thanks for your wonderful predictions. We got some interesting ones here. I can't wait for the season to happen.
I'm so excited. If I could be teleported to next Thursday at the Big East tournament, I would take that right now. Let's
see how things go here.
Yeah.
You might not want to be there.
I'm still confident we're going to have enough pieces and we're going to be retooled that we're going to be pretty darn good.
Ross, I'd like to be teleported to a golf course right now is where I'd like to be.
That'd be fun too. I would take that.
All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We will be back next